Gentlemen, welcome back to the ASUS ROG Season 3 Dream League. I'm ODPixel, I'm here with Draskell. We're ready to go with the second series of the day. Flipside Tactics versus Game Online. Who do we reckon is going to come out on top? They've got the tiny eye, my friend.
It's hard to bet against Tiny Wisp.
Yes, it
and
really
for those
is.
of you who don't know, since we can't see the ban and pick screen just yet, I'm sure we will in a second, it's going to be going the way of Game Online. And between the two starting picks, I really like having Wisp Tiny in this patch, like especially against what people are picking nowadays. Shadow Fiend, for example, the ones that usually go for the delayed BKBs. The Lightning Phase, I think, also is very indicative of how well a Wisp Tiny is going to be able to do. I will say that I think Phoenix is pretty good, but I don't know if I would...
First pick, I mean...
They're taking just a note out of Cloud9's book, right?
It's a weird one. I mean, it's, as you know, Phoenix is one of those heroes that you can specifically pick against. And I mean, Tiny and I are already. I mean, the attack speed's there to deal with the old egg.
Yeah, it's there, but it's... The biggest problem that I have with picking Phoenix first is it gives a lot of time for the enemy team to actually react to the pick itself. Like, for example, when we saw Phoenix 4th or 5th picked in the first qualifier, I want to say
I think it was, yeah.
And they picked it up against like an Enigma team and no one who could really hit the egg. Then it seemed to be really strong because no one could really focus it down. But an overcharged Tiny with a BKB and like mass attack speed will be able to kill it relatively quick. And now we still have 3 more picks to make sure that we have whatever tools we need to ensure that we're going to be able to deal with it, and picking an Undying as well from Flipside. So this is more of a, we want to try to play very aggressive, and they're even going to pick Storm. So I'm guessing this is safe lane Storm, probably mid SF. No, I don't think the SF will be safe. I think the SF needs levels too much. Okay. Whereas Storm's Orca timing, I think, is a bit more important than even getting to like level 6, for example. And we don't know what offlaner Game Online is going to pick yet. And they've taken a Morphling. Okay, so we could be going back to the old days of the Wisp and Morphling middle lane, as opposed to the Tiny Wisp, and then just have the Tiny safe. Or you could interchange it. Like, it doesn't really...
I was going to say, is there a reason why you'd prioritize the Morphling in the mid rather than the Tiny in the mid? And put
you could put either. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, but I think the Morphling and the Wisp together is like, it's very hard to kill because not only do you have morph stats, but you can waveform in as well and go for kills with Tether. It's very easy to set up because you can just waveform behind the person, and then Tether is pretty much guaranteed to be able to disable on top of that. So.
Okay, I mean, so the final ban's coming up. We see Clockwork ban, pretty much standard, but then we're seeing a Baden ban. I mean, what's up with that? Is they kind of just aware that with the Undying, they're going to look to maybe go very aggressive in the early parts of the game, and the Baden, one of those heroes that can really offer to that kind of play.
It's very strong against the early game. It's also a nice offset of damage for things like Maledict as well, which Witch Doctor is going to use primarily, I think, to start getting some kills. But I think with the way that they're building right now, that he might just go for the Voodoo Restoration, given the fact that they're up against Undying and Phoenix. It's very nice to have that skill against just AoE kind of residual damage output, not necessarily burst. So Game Online right now, I feel like they will have the late game, but Flipside, their draft is very, very good, and they have the potential to play aggressive during probably the first like 25, 30 minutes. It's kind of similar to what we saw in game number 2 in the last series, where their timing window is like, okay, we have to win at this point, and I feel Flipside are going to be in that situation here with these heroes.
I really like the line as the last pick, because if you look at Flipside's drafts and you're kind of coming up to the line, in terms of lockdown, I mean, it just isn't there at all. Undying, Shadow Fiend, Phoenix, Storm Spirit, and again, Storm Spirit, one of those heroes that very often we don't see him skill the Vortex. Yeah. You're lacking any kind of disable and stun, but Lion, arguably one of the best supports in the game to do that.
Mana Drain also fantastic against Morphling.
Yeah.
He's one of those heroes who also has a cast time on his disable. So Impale, for example, or Earth Spike, I think it's called. You can cast it on the spot that the Wisp is relocating into if you're paying enough attention. And it can be like in there by the time they land, which means it's a guaranteed stun on 2 before anything really goes down.
You're saying about against the Morphling. I mean, that's pretty. It's just so destructful. I mean, that's your ultimate, pretty much.
Yeah,
it's not great. If
you can get rid of
the
replicate. You can just drain the Morphling's mana, which can also be, you can consider it survivability because if he can't morph and he can't waveform away, then Mana Drain, it owns that hero like crazy hard. The other thing too that I like about what Flipside has done is they've picked up Storm against Wisp because you can jump in. Now you might be jumping into potentially 2 stuns, but you can still just kill the Wisp, and there's no way you can relocate on a Storm Spirit as a Wisp Tiny at any stage unless you feel like you can have a blink on him and then just go in for a kill after the fact. But I don't know if they're going to go for the blink or if they're just going to go for the carry play. Because Aghanims is fantastic against Undying because you just cleave down all the zombies and you can just punch the tombstone to death. So I think Game Online have the potential that if they win early game, coming back with Flipside's draft is very hard. You have to play from ahead.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, looking at this final pick here coming out from Game Online, who would kind of fit into the draft very nicely at this point? I guess they do probably still need their solo laner.
Yeah, they need an offlaner. Yeah. Clock is taken out. That would have been great for them to get their hands on. I wouldn't even mind something like Centaur. Like it's nice because you can just Centaur ulti on the relocate and it's like your whole team is in position immediately. Plus when a tombstone is dropped or an egg is used, you can just book it out. You can be like, I'm out of here. But they're going to go with another tank. They're just going to pick up the Bristleback, which could mean that they're going to go Bristleback Wisp off lane, and then just have the Morphling go middle.
Yeah.
It could be. It could also be dual lane mid and then solo Morphling top. But I feel like they want to put the Wisp with the Bristle, just because of how potent that particular duo can be, and it's also great against Undying. So we will see. Okay,
we will see indeed as we get ourselves into this first game of the second best of 3. I mean, these two sides, I mean, looking at, you know, kind of the predictions we're seeing on websites, we're kind of expecting a much closer series than the first one today.
Yeah, I think it will probably end up being a 2-1.
Yeah.
That's my guess. I might slightly favor Game Online for the first game because I think I always bet on teams when I don't know who's better based on the draft and it going later into the game.
Yes, yeah.
So for the teams who are less experienced, and not to say that Flipside don't have experience individually, but as a team, they're still kind of new. So do they have what it takes to break the high ground of Game Online before their draft becomes too powerful for them to deal with? I don't know. But we'll see how the lanes are going to shape up here in a second as we are in game now.
Indeed, as we get ourselves into this game. I mean, one thing to note as well with Flipside, I believe it was in the last series we saw them in DreamLeague. The game that they won was when Baby Knight was playing the SF. I might be a little bit wrong, but I'm pretty sure on that because Baby Knight's SF is very, very scary. Indeed, but indeed, we're into the game. Game 1 here at the second best of 3 is the day. Flipside versus Game Online. It's myself, Odie Pixel, here with Draskell, and over on the side of the Radiant, we're going to have Flipside Rise. He's going to be on the Undying. Ace will be on that Phoenix, followed up by the moment at Baby Knight on his Shadow Fiend. Down in the bottom lane, we're going to have Mania. He's going to be back alongside the team. We didn't see him playing with Flipside in the previous weeks where Flipside have played. So this is back to their full strength, their full roster. And finally, Blan, he's going to be on the Storm Spirit. And Draskell, what are we seeing from the Dire?
All right, so Excalibur, he's going to be playing on his Tiny, supported by Pelican. He's going to be playing on the Wisp, Zeroji. He's playing the Witch Doctor. Brock Snack is going to be playing the Bristleback, and then might see an engagement here, but finally we'll go over the Morphling really quick. It's going to be Zints.
Indeed, so yeah, as you said, they're going a little bit aggressive here at the moment, and it'll be interesting to see how the lanes do kind of settle out here for both sides, as there are a lot of options on board. It looks like, at least for the time being for Flipside, it is going to be the defensive tri-lane, and they will just leave the Phoenix on the solo off lane. Now, will this tri-lane be reacted to by a tri-lane from the Dire? Looks like probably just going to be this, yeah, so the Morphling in the solo safe lane, Tiny IO in the mid, and then Witch Doctor and Bristle on your off.
I figured after maybe seeing the potential for dual laning 2 lanes and winning them really hard, it's great for Game Online to get that kind of advantage because Bristle Witch Doctor is very tough to take down. You could have easily switched the Wisp in either lane, but I think they wanted to put the Wisp mid just because he needs bottle and he wants to be able to get the runes. And going from like mid to bottom or top rune is much easier than going off lane and trying to just get the one rune where you know it might be contended. So I think it is definitely the right call to end up putting the Wisp in the middle lane, regardless of which hero was here. But just having the Undying around is still a bit of a nuisance. Like Rise can just walk up, throw out a 2-man decay, you know, and both of these heroes are strength heroes, Wisp and Tiny, so you can get a lot of base damage taken away from you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, Tiny IO, very strong lane, but this is a very, very strong way to deal with it. So we'll see who does end up coming out on top. Already IO kind of preparing for the worst in the mid lane in the sense that they're stacking the jungle up, so they've got something to back up to that Excalibur and IO can go to clear up to kind of, you know, catch up in terms of what they're going to lose out here in the mid lane for the time being. 2 CS on the Tiny, 5 on the SF. So indeed a lead here going to the Radiant. And I mean, having the Undying here, are they losing out on anything Radiant? I mean, this is going to be okay for them.
They just need Baby Knight to get some souls. Yeah. He's already got 8, so they're just giving him the best start. I like teams doing this for your Shadow Fiend player. Dude, I'm telling you, Undying is not to be trifled with in the early game. He is an absolute monster. He is one of the best heroes at dominating lanes against these kind of, we need level 3 or 4 to be able to go for kills styles. because you need to be able to even have combo mana in the first place, which Excalibur doesn't have enough mana to use both of his spells right now, till he gets like level 3 or 4, I guess. But yeah, in general, Undying is great. He's got decent base armor.
The decays into the razors, and suddenly Excalibur, he's sitting on nothing. He's going to die for this. He's got another decay in a second. The Avalanche will fend him off. I mean, yeah, this is not a pretty lane for Excalibur at all. I mean, what do they do? I mean, could they even just shift it around, swap the lanes around? They got to stick with it.
They don't need to switch lanes or anything. They just need to get some levels. The thing about Undying is he does kind of have a point in the game where he is the strongest, which is like 15-20 minutes. You get your maxed out Tombstone, a couple of points, and a Soul Rip and Decay, and you kind of run at people, and that's more or less the style. But that is going to be very bad against what Game Online do outside of the laning phase. But for the laning phase, Rise will be a beast. It's just, can you outlast that?
Haste ring. This is first blood. Baby Knight there with the raises. Maybe thinking about going for more. Yeah, Tombstone is going to come down, forcing Excalibur to go south. He gets the toss and the Avalanche shot, but it's not enough damage at this point. And underneath the tower, without an IO, where's your IO now, my friend? Double kill for Baby Knight on the Shadow Fiend in the mid lane. And Baby Knight, Shadow Fiend, as I was saying, is the start. Already a very legit hero to player kind of combination. And giving him a double kill at 3-minute mark is not something you want to be doing.
He's already got 1,400 gold on top of his bottle at 3 minutes into the game. That is not the dream. You better hope your other lanes are doing extremely well, or you're going to be having a real sad time. And to be honest, even the safe lane for Flipside is going reasonably well. Like Storm's leading on CS. The Bristle has still like 12 for 2, which isn't too bad. But all the cores right now of Flipside are doing very well. This Morphling is getting annihilated. 3-3 to 14-4. Are you kidding me? He is getting absolutely destroyed.
Indeed, and getting burned down here, having to morph to shrink, might even be in trouble. I mean, Ace, yeah, has to waveform back there, Zinz. He's not having a pretty time. And looking at the skill build, it's been pointed out by the Weapus, 2 points in the adaptive strike rather than opting for the extra points in the stat Morphling.
Maybe he just decided that he wasn't going to win his lane, and he wanted to go for Morph stun instead, just to be able to be useful. I don't know, because he's getting so unbelievably destroyed in lane that he's not going to be a factor. Like, that Morphling is going to do nothing this game unless he goes for a support style.
Okay, indeed. Well, we'll see if Game Online have it in themselves to come back from this very bad start. Oh, this is not what they want. Zinz, he's got no mana to morph any further than he already has. He's sticking out, and that is a kill for your solo off-lane Phoenix, who was already, as you were saying, dominating the lane. 3 kills at the moment for the side of Flipside. Excalibur again in the mid lane. One more raise if he comes close enough. Baby Knight waiting to see if that situation is going to arise, but no, Excalibur's going to keep him safe. Keep himself safe. 12 CS on the Tiny, 25 on this Shadow Fiend. I mean, we were saying this series is going to be a little bit more even, Draskell.
Well, the mid game is going to be the biggest indicator of who's going to take this game, because even though the lanes are going well right now for Flipside, that kind of a lead can still be squandered because of the hero composition that Gaming Online have. Like, you can never count yourself out if you have a Wisp and a Tiny on your team. And I think that it only takes, oh, okay, that raise could have been, that raise combo could have been bad, but the stun was there, so we're good.
Indeed, and I mean, so this game, this turn, so when you're getting this amount of farm onto the Shadow Fiend, we're pretty much expecting to see a mech build, or do you think it will go aggressive into the Yules?
I think he'll go mech.
Okay.
He could also, nah, you don't really want BKB that early against those heroes, maybe a bit later on. But I imagine it's just going to be the standard Aquila mech Shadow Fiend, and you just fight. I mean, with an Undying, it's great.
Oh, Excalibur again, getting decayed, the raises. Can be there. He's got to be careful how close he comes, trying to come in for every little bit of CS you can get, but at the moment, the denies are there from this SF. Net worth-wise, just look at the board. 3.4k on the Shadow Fiend, 1.5k on Tiny Excalibur. He's already doubling the net worth of this Tiny mid lane. It is not looking pretty at all. I mean, we talked about in the very first game of the first series we saw where something similar was happening in the early game. Is this down to the draft and the lanes, or should it be going this bad for the side of the Dire?
I think the bottom lane was expected to go a tiny bit better, but Rise coming in.
There's your Vortex, they pop down the Tombstone as well, Decay from Rise, and with the stun from line, it's going to be more than enough to hold Bristle back in place. They're going to look to go for more. With the slow, they're procced by the Storm Spirit passive. The Voodoo Restoration will not voodoo enough there for the Witch Doctor. 5 kills now. Mid lane, they're trying to make a go on Baby Knight. They will get the Avalanche. They do have the toss. Is it enough burst damage? It might just be yes. They do find themselves a kill, get themselves on the board. IO getting the final touch there onto the Shadow Fiend.
Nice awareness going for the Shadow Fiend kill after having seen Ryze make his rotation to bottom lane. Ace, though, he's stealing these stacks. He cannot be allowed to get these. This is so bad for them. He has max points into his Fire Spirits. Oh my god, you really cannot give this to him. He could even, the Wisp could die. The Wisp is gonna die.
Wisp, God, you could take down the Supernova. We believe in you, Pelican. Oh, he did it! Oh, what a player. What a player. What a player, Draskell.
I can't believe he actually killed that. Did he miss his Fire Spear? He didn't, right?
Yeah.
That was weird. I didn't feel like he could auto-attack that enough to kill it by himself if he got hit.
Mate, you don't mess with the IO. Come on, mid lane, wave forward into the adaptive strike onto Baby Knight. They do have an avalanche and a toss combination. There we go. That's going to be another kill there. Baby Knight trying to get something out in response, and that's why you put the 3 points into adaptive strike for those kind of rotations, setting up the kill there. 3 for 5, game online after a pretty shoddy start, getting themselves back on the board.
The call to go support Morphling is definitely good in this situation. I'm going to see another stun into middle lane. Wow,
lovely stun there from Lion.
That Earth Spike was not even close.
Top lane. And we get the Bristle back, and Witch Doctor actually rotated, but Ace, hello, he takes a paralyzing cast to the face. He's going to try and turn around and get the bit of the burn damage onto the Bristle, and the Witch Doctor has had the attack speed slowed there by the Fire Spirit, so can't get any more tickles in. But Phoenix anyway, he's going to be fine for the time being. Either way, though, I mean, game online, they're getting themselves back into the game. There's 2.8k on this Tiny. Relocate. Hello, Blan. He's just taking an adaptive strike to the face. Now take a few rocks and a toss. That's 25 seconds off the pitch there for Storm Spirit. Another kill. This is Tiny IO coming online.
Well, the problem is the offlaner who was level 7 died to the Wisp, so it gave him like almost a level and a half, and he might be giving away his life here in middle lane because of that relocate, but they're not going to lose their Tiny, so I think it's fine that he gave up his life for a safe lane farming Storm. That's definitely an okay trade. So when Ace goes in, and he dies, that is a huge problem because a level and a half to an under-leveled Wisp? Like, he only was level 6 and able to relocate to get that kill because Ace suicided in the jungle. So if that doesn't happen, I think the momentum of the Storm would have been a lot better, but even just giving away like small kills in the early game. Flip side, like we mentioned during the draft, they need to do well at this stage, and they were doing great as long as the lanes were staying static, and then as soon as they start moving around... Wait, what?
Yeah, he's taking a lot of burn damage. Yeah, he's okay.
He's fine.
He had it calculated.
The flip side can't get complacent because, like I said, this draft can come back just on kills. He's so dead.
I mean,
so dead.
Very dead indeed. They might be going to be able to try and find some kind of re-initiation. There's your stun into finger. The heal from the eye. Will it be enough? Oh, they're trying to do as much as they can here for Steve. Steve, he's not going to be able to get out, and he does go down. And maybe here they can find more, trying to get the IO, but IO's just a little bit too nifty. They've got a decay. If they can get the Earnest Shadow charges, one more decay should do it. Will catch him, and then with the Earnest Shadows ticks, brings down the IO. It is a double kill for the Phoenix Rise. He gets the Tombstone out, but now another massive adaptive strike to his face. They prioritize the Tombstone before they go for the kills, and there we go. Now going on Rise, stun from the low ground for Mania. Isn't going to be enough, though, to save his zombie buddy. That is going to be a kill there onto the Undying as well. So even though they lose the Tiny and IO, they do get some kills in return. Their game online.
Yeah, the kills are okay. They lost their Undying in the process, which I guess trading support for support, it's whatever. I'm just really concerned right now for Flipside because they had such a nice thing going, and then a couple of really awkward mistakes, like Baby Knight not backing when he knew that his Undying was going to gank in the bottom lane and expecting the enemy to not notice that. Like, small things like that can really put you in a bad spot by just giving away those kills when you're worth so much due to your laning phase going well. So game online, they're just outmaneuvering Flipside at the moment. Even though it's a kill lead, I'd say the game is almost back to ground zero. There's a slight gold lead on Flipside. Honestly, that part is irrelevant to me. It's more about the levels right now. And what is first item Mask of Madness? Tiny?
Yeah, what's up with that, Draskell?
What?
Is it?
He's got to be going straight Ags after this. There's like no other build that I can imagine him going. I mean, sure, it's great for off-map farming. If that's all you want to do, okay?
Yes.
All you want to do is off-map farm with your Wisp.
Mask of Madness the way to go?
Mask of Madness is okay, because you're never going to be putting yourself in a situation where the mask is going to be on and you're trying to fight in a bad situation. So it can be okay. And I imagine he probably just buys Quelling too, if that's his game plan. It's the most efficient way to farm, because it's the same thing as going like Phase, Aquila, Mask of Madness, Quelling on all these edgy carries nowadays that we see so often. but I think it could be okay.
Oh, smoke up from Morphling, adaptive strike onto Rise. There's your relocate. Look at that set. Oh, hello.
What? It got cancelled. Wow, Bland stopped the cast time with a pull. Very nice.
Oh, very nice. Storm saving the Rise's life. He's going to save his own though. So I think they'll be happy with that. They don't kill the
yeah, that was actually not worth it. Bland goes in for a huge play, cancels a relocate, and then dies for it.
Oh, he's going in with the burn damage, and again, this Morphling. I mean, the adaptive strikes, they're pretty... What is the stun time on that, you know, when he's
4.25.
4.25.
It's almost like hitting an arrow.
Yeah.
Like, and the range is insane. Like, you don't even have to be close.
And the cooldown, 10 seconds. I mean, that's a 42% uptime on the stun.
It's like being stunned almost half the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not fun to play against. So Game Online never intended to win that lane anyway. They just wanted to play it as a support. And if you think about it, the relocate channel time with an adaptive strike, it just means that the Morphling can wander around on his own, adaptive strike somebody, you relocate on it, and they're dead. Now, Bland's not always going to be there to Vortex and then suicide for it.
Suicide.
But, I mean, that's a very potent combo.
I mean, this is getting to the point. Even though it's 8-8 on the board, it's still very close. Baby Knight is farming. He's top of the board. It's a tiny IO game, and it's going to be so hard for Flipside to fight up against this.
Everything has been equalized. It's a dead even game. It's just up to Flipside to not put themselves in situations where the Wisp and the Tiny can clean up. Because the Morphling initiation is crazy easy, and there's almost no risk. All he has to do is have a replicate out, waveform in, gets a 4-second stun, they relocate on that target, and they kill it. Like that, there's almost no commitment at all, as long as they realize or have vision of what they're relocating into.
See how they're getting scarier and scarier. It's got the point booster, 850 gold, nearly got that second bit of the Ags. Pelican, how's he doing? And the IO, he's got the bottle, he's got the Earnest Shadows. What's he got coming out to him? Anything exciting? What's on the courier? It's just some wards and a stick by the looks of it. And, well, Bristol's got his Vanguard as well. I mean, he's still doing pretty damn well in terms of farm. He's third on the board, 5.3k gold coming up, just ahead of the Storm Spirit as well. And Storm himself, what are we seeing coming out from the Storm over on the side of Flipside? He's going to go straight for the Bloodstone, not the Orchid.
It's okay. Knowing how much that Game Online want to fight, I would almost prefer Orchid, but he's probably just scared of getting bursted. Like, if you get adaptive struck and you go Orchid build, you're dead. Like, you can't live through the adaptive if you go for the Orchid. So I get why he's going Bloodstone, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do enough with the Bloodstone. And I think that means that they have to farm more. And farming more against Game Online is scary, because going late game against Wisp Tiny...
Oh, finger into Zip. They're going on Excalibur with the Vortex here, but the heal from Pelican might be enough to keep him alive. Does get Hex up as well, the Tiny. Nice. Relocate out defensively. They do have Bristle back in, so I don't think the side of Flipside will be looking to pick off the IO on the way back in. In fact, they're scared that he might bring the Tiny back, because with the Bristle there, the side of Game Online in a very good position to fight, and indeed, they top themselves up a base in Excalibur. He's good to come back into lane, but Tiny IO, my friend, Tiny IO.
I can't believe he didn't die. He even popped his Mask of Madness. He had no fear. Full faith in Pelican to get him out of that situation, as they're going to siege this tier 1.
Yeah, Tombstone is popped down in the mid lane trying to offend them off. Zip forward trying to slow down and catch up Bristleback, but Bland, he's out of mana. He can't go for anything more here. Excalibur, he's juking about, throws the Avalanche out, will catch Rise here. He's got the, well, throws the toss as well. It's not enough damage to blow him down. In comes the Paralyzing Cast. Zeroji's starting to look at it go. Supernova has been popped. The damage going down onto Baby Knight, but Baby Knight's still alive. Gets the raises onto Witch Doctor, will bring him down. There's your Soul Rip. It's not enough heals. He goes down as well. It's a 2-for-1 trade. Adaptive Strike onto Rise. 4.25 seconds of pain for the Undying. He goes down as well. Killing spree here for the Bristleback. 3-for-1 trade. Even though Supernova was used, it was not enough to disrupt the team fight there from Game Online. And again, breaking away. And it's going to be very hard for Flip. What do Flipside do? They can't look to fight.
Fighting is impossible. I think that's the reason why Bland decided to go for Bloodstone as well over Orchid, because taking an engagement against this Mass Disable, the Death Ward, the 4.25 second adaptive strike, it's just too much. And they're going to get Roshan off of this as well. So Game Online looking to be in a very dominant position here in game number 1. It's got to be frustrating to play in a situation where your laning phase went so unbelievably well for you. And you even solo killed the Morphling as Phoenix. And now you transition into this game where you can't really do anything anymore, just off the back of a couple of bad engagements. Honestly, this game is all on the Phoenix dying in the woods. Like,
really?
It really sounds like such a small thing. But the Wisp was only level 6 because he almost got 2 full levels off of Ace when he died. And how are they going to relocate to kill Bland if the Wisp is level 4? You know, like, that's how big of an experience gap there was. And I think he even got, like, some of the experience for the neutral creeps dying afterwards. So, like, that greedy play going for the steal and then giving that Wisp so much allowed Excalibur to get himself back into the game by relocate ganks, and everything kind of has been snowballing just from that particular fact. So it's a big bummer that ended up happening that way. And it's not like Flipside are out of the game totally. During the last team fight, I actually love the way that Zinz played, because it's very common for people to want to stun the Phoenix to prevent Egg, but he actually stunned the Shadow Fiend to prevent Requiem from going off, which I think was the right call, because Death Ward can be channeled even in the face of a Phoenix if you have Fire Spirits on, and it almost killed Baby Knight from 100%, so the damage was still there. I think in general, like Game Online are playing better in the fights too.
Indeed, smoke up here from Rise, Mania, and Blend. Looking for a killer on the top lane. Witch Doctor's on his own. ROG, he almost certainly will be going down Finger to secure the kill. Now come the TPs. Rise pulling down the defensive Tombstone. In comes the relocate Tiny, Excalibur, and Pelican coming in. There's going to be a TP out from line. Actually gets cancelled because he wants to stick around for the fight. Avalanche and toss here onto Tiny, from the Tiny onto the Storm Spirit. One punch as well to secure the kill onto Blan. And there is your relocate back out. Phoenix now with a Midas will be able to start finding the levels, but at what cost? Well, the courier, that's, hello. Well, there goes your Aghanims. Ooh.
Good snipe, good snipe. They needed that. They absolutely needed that courier snipe. It hurts a lot, but I still feel like Flipside can't feel comfortable taking engagements. They need to continue to play careful. They've gotten all the tier 1s down. They weren't able to get their hands on Roshan, which is a bit of a bummer, but they need to try to not get caught for the next like 5-6 minutes. Invis
Runa here on Bristleback, thinking about going in. There's been a TP into the mid lane from Io. They do have Witch Doctor around as well. Tiny and Morphling, they're looking to try and take the tier 1 here on the top lane. Excalibur going in comes Phoenix. There is also the Undying about as well. As we can see from the net worth, it started to even out a little bit more than it was in the past, back towards 1k. Game Online, though, still with the superior XP advantage of 5,000. And now you got your Blink Dagger on the Morphling, Andy.
Well, if you blink and then you waveform in and then you Adaptive Strike, we're talking like almost 2,500 range on your initiation. So even if you see the relocate first, you can blink, waveform forward, Adaptive Strike, replicate back to wherever you were, and you're perfectly safe, and it allows Excalibur to go in for his free kill. I don't know, man. This is seeming really sketch for Flipside. Even though they have all their tier 1s up, I still don't know what they're supposed to do during the mid game. Like, their Undying is supposed to be fighting, you know, their Phoenix is supposed to be doing pretty much the same. He's got level 2 Supernova now, which is great, so it takes a little bit longer for them to kill the egg. But the longer the game goes, like after that Aghanims, there's going to be a BKB on that Tiny, and then you're going to have a really sad time with Mask of Madness overcharge and trying to take him out.
Yeah, I mean, even with the courier snipe, as you know, as pretty as it was, as you were saying, it's not really the end of the world at all for Game Online there. Yeah. I mean, it was them that was kind of forcing the tempo of the match in terms of aggression, so now they can just kind of step off the gears a little bit and say, right, we'll hang back, we'll just farm, we'll just wait for the courier to come back with the axe.
It's no big deal.
Flipside won't be able to, they just can't find a fight themselves, Flipside.
Well, they can't fight into Aegis, that's the main thing, because Excalibur has it still for the next couple of minutes. And when he has that courier respawn, he'll have Plate Mail and full Ag, so he's going to go for the AC first before he goes BKB. But the more I think about this Mask of Madness, normally it's seen as kind of an aggressive farming item and an all-in-ish kind of build. But really, if you have Overcharge, the mitigation from damage is 20%. And the Mask of Madness gives you 30% increased damage taken, so you're really only taking like 10% more damage. So it kind of offsets how much less tanky you would normally be by going that item. And plus, you're hasted when you have Tether and Mask of Madness on, like your 522 movement speed. So you just run at people super freaking fast and they can't get away. Like even Storm Spirit has to spend like his entire mana pool just balling away from the Tiny because he knows that he can't kill it. So it's not a great situation to be in if you're Bland.
How long have we got left on the courier respawn here for the for the Dire? 8 seconds, so it's going to be back up now. And yeah, that axe is going to come straight out to young Steve on the Tiny. Heading to the jungle now, just continue his farm, smashing away there with the Mom. 12-10 at the moment, 20.5 minutes in. Still a chance for Flipside to come back into it, but it's going to be hard against this Tiny Io. Now with the completed Aghanims and the Plate Mail, it's going to be a very, very hard Tiny to kill. We're being popped out by Zinz and the pings come out as well. They know that there's a large amount of the Radiant side here defending this tier 1 in the mid lane. And maybe they can look to initiate here with the Invis Rune on the Bristleback.
Bottom tower is under attack.
Bottom tower is getting pretty low as well, Excalibur. There we go, there's your axe, and there's your bonus armor as well. 20 armor, 1800 HP on this Tiny. He's going to head down to the bottom, get the final few punches here on this tower, get himself a little bit more gold in the pocket. And I mean, just so do you think this is is he going to finish off the AC, or will he finish off? Oh no, yeah, it won't be the BKB. So yeah, it would just finish off the AC first. The BKB not necessary.
Well, he'll probably buy it eventually.
Yeah.
Like for when he wants to go high ground, that's when he'll buy BKB. But they haven't even taken any tier 1s, and I feel Flipside would rather just avoid the engagement than defending tier 1s at this point. So those towers, I think, are almost free for game online at this point, unless for whatever reason they find themselves out of position. Then Flipside will probably fight. They have a 10-second BKB on the Shadow Fiend, so Baby Knight's going to be pretty key in the next engagement. Can he get a good Requiem? Can he actually deal enough damage to get a kill on anybody during this fight? Because this Bristleback is building extremely tank as well. And he's got Vanguard, Ogre Club, Casual Cloak, and 2,600 gold. So what does Rocksnack go next? Does he go for SNY? Does he go for BKB? I mean, the options are pretty open right now for Game Online.
Indeed, he's saving up his gold and not intending to buy anything as of yet. I mean, the Witch Doctor as well, about to hit level 11, has of course got that mechanism on himself. Blan, yeah, that is going to be the finished Bloodstone. Very much on his way. Yes, kind of the pace has slowed down. We've not really seen any big kind of relocates in at the moment between Tiny and I. They seem to be more content on sitting back and farming. And I mean, against the Shadow Fiend Storm lineup, are you in a pretty safe position to do that, or is it a little bit risky for Game Online? Or are they going to be fine no matter how late the game goes?
Wisp Tiny is always, you can win at any game, any point in the game. It doesn't matter how late you go. Just because the damage output that you have scales so well against buildings that at some stage, if you get the outer tier towers down, you'll be able to backdoor anything. Like you can backdoor a tier 1 now if you wanted. It's super dangerous because you know that everyone on Flipside is still on their side of the map. But eventually, you will be able to just get your towers off the map. And he has a bottle of DD as well. The Wisp swapped him the bottle and he just picked it up. So the next relocate,
there we go, there's your relocate. We were saying, yeah, there hasn't been one for a while. As soon as
you can't do anything against that. Yeah. You really can't. Like, unless somebody's in position to help you, if you get Adaptive Struck, you are dead. That's it, because all the Morphling has to do is call it. He's like, I'm going to stun this guy. Be ready to relocate. And you stun him, and he's dead.
Tiny IO. I think they'll certainly be banning the IO in the next game at least. I mean,
just ban the Morphling.
Ban the Morphling, yeah.
No, I'm kidding. You ban the Wisp.
Yeah, I mean, the Morphling as well. You've got to give hats off to Morphling this game because, I mean, the setup is pretty big. I mean, yeah, you can still go for the IO relocates onto heroes without that amount of stun, but this pretty much secures the kill.
Yeah, it's genius. I mean, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to commit. They just see one hero out of position. They're like, oh, free kill. There are a lot of lineups that wouldn't be able to get that kill so easily with zero risk. Like maybe the Lion gives off a stun. Maybe that buys time for the enemy to react and TP. But as soon as they see that adaptive and the relocate, they just go, there's no possible way we can save him. You know, even if we TP, it's pointless. So not only do they get the kill, but they get the tower. And middle tower is freaking dying to creeps right now. Excalibur just saves his DD, just decides not to pick up the bounty rune for some reason. I don't know why he walked past that. But yeah, I mean, even the offlane, Rocksnack has not really been doing a whole heck of a lot this game, but farming, because he doesn't have to do anything. The pressure of the Morphling being on the map is already enough for Flipside to not want to play aggressive. So there is so much space for Game Online right now to do whatever they want.
Indeed, there's a blink now on the line for the side of Flipside, so something that's going to enable them to, at least in these fights, maybe go straight for the IO on the back of them and blow him up before he's able to buff up the Tiny too much. Got 5 heroes at the moment on the Radiant in the mid lane. Do they have a smoke? Yes, they do. Mania with the smoke. He's going to prepare them for some action here. Heads them straight up the mid lane. Morphling. Zinz is on his own at the top. Mid lane, we do have the rest of the side of Game Online. All 4 heroes here. Rogsnack at the moment leading the way, farming up the creep wave. They want to try and jump in here on this Bristle. Yes, they do. Blink forward from Mania. There's your Hex, followed up by the finger and the stun. But this Bristle is pretty damn tanky. They get off the Supernova. Requiem's going to be successful as well, though. The mech pretty much reversing any of the damage that's already been done. They do manage to get a big stun off with the Supernova, but no one is dead yet. Rogsnack just walking it off here with the BKB. They get rid of the Tombstone. Now comes down the Death Ward. Rise taking a fair bit of damage. Rogsnack, he's going to chase this one down. That will be the first kill. The Undying of this team fight. Baby Knight, he's got the Invis rune, trying to get himself out. Doesn't look like they've got any detection here on Game Online. Mania, he's going to take an adaptive stroke to the face. He'll be the second kill of this fight. A double kill for the Bristleback. They jump in on the Bristle, and he's been farming all game. That's not the guy you want to be jumping in on.
Absolutely not. And they caught him in the back as well.
More as well. Adaptive strike onto Ace. There's your relocate forward.
God.
Mega kill streak for Excalibur.
I think this game is getting into game over territory. Like, even with the farm that they have on their cores, they cannot fight. That was an engagement where they sent 5 people in, and they didn't kill the Supernova in time, and they committed all the melee heroes to doing it. Like, pop BKB on the Bristleback, hit the egg. And then Excalibur came in, he also hit the egg. They still didn't kill it. It stunned everyone on Game Online, every single person. And they still couldn't win the fight. Like, what else do you need? Like, the Tombstone was in the middle of everything. The Requiem went off. Finger was used. Like, what better engagement are you going to ask for? I mean, you can catch another hero, I guess. Maybe you catch something a little squishier, like a Witch Doctor or something. But even then, I feel like it's insane. Like, how do you fight when you can't use your heroes? Like, Bland got stunned as soon as the initiation happened. Like, there was a blink in from Zinz, and he just adaptive struck Bland, and he just couldn't do anything.
Oh, it's just, I mean, no, yeah. It's Flipside. They're the perfect initiation and everything. You know, they had the great angle. It was just unfortunate they went on in a Bristleback. And I don't think they'll be doing that again anytime soon. If they see the Bristol, they'll be like, right, let's not jump in on him. Let's wait for someone else to come out into vision. 16-10 at the moment, favoring the side of Game Online. Mania and Bland heading their way up to the top lane. The IO illusion. Well, in fact, well, Zinz comes in, blinks straight away there by Mania. There was a relocate as well, but it's into IO. Got to get that 10 seconds.
He broke his tether too. I don't know what's going on here. That was
might
a
still
misclick.
find the kill though. I mean, Rise and Mania, nah, they're going to back off. Zinz and Bristol not wanting to go in, but yeah, it was a bit of a weird relocate, that one.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but it doesn't matter. We just saw the potential of how far Zinz can actually reach there. Like he blinked into the river, he waveformed, and he stunned Mania from like 2,000 range. Where are you actually safe on the map if you're Flipside? That's the real problem. And now there's 10-second BKB
on mid lane.
Yeah, I mean,
they realize.
They showed that replicate who's boss, for sure.
It certainly did. Now here comes the push from Game Online on the top lane. Ready to go down onto this tier 2. And how do you stop this? I mean, like, Excalibur, slap it away. Fortification will come out, buys them some time, but with the AC and the BKB on the courier as well. Yeah, where is it? It's hanging at base, yeah. He's still got the Aegis, so he's going to wait until the Aegis is gone before getting that BKB onto him by the looks of it. Hasn't got the slot for it. The push is just going to continue up to the high ground, and there's kind of no reason for Game Online to stop because they've got the Aegis, they've got the BKB ready for Excalibur.
Yeah, they just racks here, I think.
They just go for it with the fortification already gone for the tier 2. The percentage-based damage from the laser being a little bit of an issue here for Excalibur. Will bring him down quite a bit. But instantly getting topped up by Pelican. Excalibur TP's back to the mid lane just to try and get the momentum of the creep wave back out in this situation. Also on the bottom lane, Bristleback heads there alongside the Witch Doctor just to continue farming. And I mean, Bristleback, the only fight he kind of feels like he's been involved in is when the other team had a bit of beef with him, and he just stood there and he won the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Bristleback is in this game, he's just another body to put in the front. And are they going to kill Zinz? No, they're not. He's just going to blink away. Okay, he's fine. So you can't kill the support Morphling. That's a very, very hard hero to lock down, especially once he finishes off his Yules, which I think he will have enough money for at about 150. And then it's just a total nightmare to deal with him. And in the meantime, they get another tier 2. And there's no contention from Flipside whatsoever because they were committing 5 heroes to trying to kill a Morphling. I really... It sucks because the game looks close on paper, but it's really not. Like, it's really not close because Game Online have all the control. They have the late game, and they have to mess up really badly to lose their lead.
I mean, they really do. Tiny 2.5k gold on him, as we saw there. IO's now got the Vlad's complete as well. So, I mean, that aura, even at this point of the game, it's a massive boost.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, any point where you have auras in the late game, it's always going to scale better than even in the early stages. Like, you talk about items like Vlad's, for example. You know, getting that extra damage increase on a hero like Tiny would be awesome as well.
And we see now here at the moment, Flipside, they're on the top lane, they're thinking about the tier 2, but they're going to need to come back and defend against this Excalibur. Straight onto the tower. Rocksnack is here as well to get himself on the front lines. Rise coming in, throwing down the decays. Baby Knight and Rise have come back as well. But it's going to be just a bit make a complexity, well, sorry, not complexity, Game Online backup. And,
it looks like Cole, right?
That's what
yeah, you look at it and you're like, it looks like Cole, so you want to say that.
Yeah. Wow. But no, Game Online, they're certainly having a pretty good game. And especially just after that start. I mean, triple kill. They lost the courier.
I really undervalued the Morphling pick here. I didn't think of it in any other sense that they would probably just put it in a solo role, but I didn't realize what implications that would have for the enemy team if he decided to go for this particular build.
It's really working.
So I would have gotten caught off guard as much, I think, as Flipside did by this pick. I would have been like, what did they do? Oh, that's what they're doing. And then as soon as I got adaptive struck and relocated on, I would have been like, so that was the game plan.
Link forward, adaptive strike onto Baby. Now Rocksnack just clearing out the wave. They're at the tab. Hang on. Excalibur says, well, okay, you want to defend the bottom racks? Me and I will take the top one.
Yeah, Tiny Wisp. There you go.
Back to the push now on the bottom lane. And, well, flip side, the kind of, oh, yeah, we go. Undyne was just walking over there like, hang on. Did we not? We had someone here, didn't we, lads? But
at some point, I think Baby Knight realizes it, but everyone else was kind of just like, what? What's happening? Okay, so Roshan up in 3 minutes, that is. Scotty now on the Shadow Fiend, so that'll help Baby Knight tank up a bit. I'm just not sure if that matters. Like, they don't need to commit to a fight necessarily. All they need to do is go into the base and hit it, and they win the game. As long as they have buybacks, of course, because you can't just like die for no reason without buyback. But 5-man smoke here coming out from Flipside could be a bit early. I mean, even if they get kills here, they're not going to get Roshan. They want to time it for when that's actually going to be up, because that's when they can turn.
Here we go. They're going for the smoke. This is going to be it. Flipside, their final huzzah, pretty much. If this goes bad for them, they're going to be in a very, very terrible position. Right, he's going to have the smoke dispelled here from the high ground, so they know that Game Online are about. Back up to the mid lane. Yeah, as soon as this has been kind of smoked out, they don't want to go for it. Game Online, they're going to smoke in return. There was a Radiant Ward there, so Flipside do know this is coming. Blink forward there from Zinz, gets the stun onto the Shadow Fiend. Zipping from Bland, trying to turn it around. Excalibur pops the BKB though, and now he starts to get to work. Finger was thrown down onto Pelican, and the Io will fall with the first casualty in this fight. Now, it's an unstoppable kill streak here for the Tiny as he takes down the Phoenix, but already Baby Knight, he's got himself a double kill. Excalibur, he's got a double kill. Baby Knight versus Excalibur, who's going to come out on top? Bland trying to get the slows and control onto Excalibur. Baby Knight trying to fight up, but the armor reduction there from the nasal goo and the right click from Excalibur is too much. Triple kill. It might be an ultra kill. It's going to be an ultra kill. Where's the Rampage Lion? Come on, Mania. You got to give it to him. But Baby Knight, he tried his best in that fight, manages to find a double kill. But Baby Knight, despite the name, he's no Artur Babur Knight.
Excalibur didn't even play that as well as he could have. He stunned late, so at the beginning of the fight, he got adaptive struck, the Shadow Fiend, right? So yeah. Baby Knight was stunned for ages. They relocated, and Excalibur tried to not stack the stuns so much that BKB was used before he even threw his Avalanche from the Shadow Fiend. So that was actually a mistake. And then they had the huge damage reduction from Requiem. But at the end of the day, Excalibur and Rocksnack are just too damn tanky to kill. All the kills that they got on the flip side were just, they killed the Wisp, they killed the Witch Doctor, and it's like, okay, well, that doesn't really matter too much if the Morphling, the Bristleback, and the Tiny are still alive at the end of it, and this is game. Like, there's no coming back from Megas, not with these heroes.
Well, they want to give it a shot. No GGs are called yet. The side of Flipside wanting to fight it out until the very end, but it's not looking good.
Oh, absolutely not. It's total disaster. And that's why I said the game really isn't close anymore.
Yeah,
and there we go.
Well played.
GG.
Yeah, Baby Knight, here's your calls, Andy. And that's game one. It is a best of 3. I mean, Flips, as you said, Game Online, they came with something that wasn't that easy to read. Maybe going into game 2, Flipside, they're going to be in a lot of a stronger position in terms of drafting, and they'll be able to react with this playstyle.
It kind of opens up your way of thinking when you lose to a draft like this, because on paper it looks really weird, right? Like you have this position 1-ish or something Morphling where maybe they even knew that it was going to be a support Morphling. Maybe they had that knowledge going into it, but still, it ended up doing so much work. Like, there weren't really that many kills for a 34-minute game. I mean, the Morphling was 1, 1, and 12, so it's not like he was stacked or anything. He had, like, Blank Yules, Tranquils, and a Soul Ring. So it's like, that's standard support Morphling.
My goodness, yeah, the Morphling working out, the Tiny IO, even though it didn't start out great in the beginning, pretty much what we've seen from a lot of Tiny IO games in this DreamLeague, it always seems to be they go to the mid lane, they don't have as much of a good time as we expect to see them in the mid lane, but then they always just come back, and I think we've only seen have we even seen them lose one game? I kind of feel we've seen them lose one game, but I mean, I'm sure...
No, they're always losing the game, and then they always end up win. Right, but that's Tiny Wisp, right? That's why people ban the heroes so much. Like, it's not even the Tiny, it's just the Wisp.
It is. So
I think that the way that they drafted this was ingenious because they knew that as long as they delayed the game, they would have a chance. And the early game, the laning phase was like, it was pretty mediocre. And then off the back of Ace dying in the woods, giving Pelican level 6, like I swear to God, if that didn't happen, this game would have been so much different. It could have been
a different story.
Yeah.
Well,
unfortunate.
God damn it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, Flipside versus Game Online. Game Online will take the first game. It's a best of 3. We're going to be back with game 2 very, very shortly. But first to a few commercials and then over to our hosts. We'll see you guys in a bit.